Welcome. This screencast will introduce you to the general interface of Stata. I'll focus on Stata 11.2 for the Mac, but this should be relevant for most recent versions of Stata and will be pretty much identical to how things work on Windows, except that a few of the keystrokes are different, and obviously the menus and other things look different, but the general topics covered will be the same across platforms. Also, for some of the interface things, I'm just going to give you just a very brief introduction to that part of the interface, and then I'll give you some more detail about that. For example, some of the things for visualizing data sets in the data editor and the variables manager and those sorts of things I'll get into in more detail another time. So this is the main interface for Stata. These are the things that open up by default. So you have the results window, the review window, the variables window, and the command window. Then you have menus across the top, and pretty much everything in Stata can be accessed either via command or through the menus. The commands are the most detailed and most canonical, if you will, ways of using most of the procedures in Stata, but like I say, most things you can access them through the menus. So to introduce this, let me first open a data set. So I'm just going to go to File, Open, and I'm going to grab the Auto data set from my desktop. This is actually a built-in data set into Stata, and you can access it a number of different ways. I've just saved it and now just opening it like a regular data file or any other file that you'd open in most programs. So the first thing you'll notice is that Stata outputted some results into the results window. So pretty much anything that you do, with the exception of graphics, will get printed to this results window. And so we've called this data. Although we did it through the menu, it pasted in the command into the window. So we could have typed use and then in the parentheses the file path to our data and opened it in the same way. Okay. So let me start with the command window. This is where you're going to type your commands if you're working interactively in Stata. So you just type things in here, and you're going to hit enter when you're done. So if we want to type, let's say we want to summarize the prices of the cars. So if we type summarize and then price, that will provide summary statistics for price. So we hit enter, and sure enough, there it is in the results window. You get our mean and standard deviation and other things like that. We could summarize the miles per gallon. Okay. And there are many, like I say, there are many commands for Stata, and we'll go through some of those in detail in other screencasts. Another thing that Stata can do is it can work kind of like a glorified calculator. And you do this via the display command. So if you type display in the command window and then say something like 2 plus 2, then it'll output the result there. What if we said display, hi there, it'll display that text. Make sure you put the text in the quotes. We can also display the square root of 25, and it'll work again like a glorified calculator. So this is really handy when you just need to do a quick calculation, or if you're doing some programming in Stata and you want the program to display some information. One other thing about the command window is if you use the page up button on your keyboard, press page up, it'll redisplay the very last thing that you typed. If you keep hitting, it'll just sort of go through the various commands that you've typed, and then page down will take you the other way. So page up cycles back through, page down cycles from the beginning to the end. And so that can be handy if you just make a typo and you just want to quickly re-enter the information. The review window also collects the commands that you've typed. And so as you type in, again, summarize, this time we'll do length, in the command window, when we hit enter, you'll notice that now up here, it's repeated that command. And so this review window, its primary purpose is just to show you the things that you've typed so that you can easily reference them later on as you are working through your data analysis. It's also nice because you can just click on any command that you've typed in the review window and it will echo it down in the command window. So if you just want to recall the command that you've typed, it'll show up there. So that's pretty cool. Another thing to notice is what's going on in the variables window. Variables just gives you a list of what's going or what data are available within your data set. So they give you the name of the variable in the data set. You also get the label of the variable, the type of variable. str stands for string, so if it's a string variable, so words, that's that. Integers, float variables, which are decimal variables, and then this is the format in which it's displayed. This is just useful to be able to see the variables that are in your data set. Another thing to notice is that when you click on any of the variable names in the variables window, they get echoed into the command window, which is just a convenient way to select variables for further analysis.